it's Mr. McTavish with Team 4152, and today we're going to go over how to drill our square tubing. So we use square tubing with holes to be able to build our frame structure, and we are using a jig so that we get the holes really precise. So the first thing is I'm going to give you a piece of tubing that's already started and the jig, and you have a couple of machine screws. So the goal is to line that piece up and get the machine screw through the piece, and it's a lot easier if you start it through the steel, because the steel is very hard for it to, it's very tight. And once you have it through the other side, so you can just hand tighten it. At some point, you want the Allen key to just be able to turn it so that you can get it through. Once you've got it through, you can see I've got it through now. This is when we'll be putting a nylock nut on it. And a nylock nut is just a regular nut, but it's got nylon in it. And that helps hold it in place. So this is the ratchet. So a couple things with the ratchet. You have a power switch here. And once you have turned on the power switch, you can press this and it will turn this. This knob allows you to turn it, so if it's straight up, that means it's going to drive. And if it's to the side, that means it's going to loosen. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it over the nut, we're going to hold the Allen key, and it's got a lot of torque. So we want to tighten it up. Do not tighten it all the way, because if you're off, you want to have enough give in here to be able to line things up the other direction, so that now we can get the second bolt in. The reason we're doing the two bolts is so that we line it up, and it's lined up so that everything's going to line up properly. And sorry, just trying to get through. As I mentioned, the steel is really, really tight hole, so you got to line things up. And if that aluminum square tubing is off by just a little bit, you're going to have a hard time getting it through. Now you'll see I've done 3 holes, so if you're having trouble with 2 of them, then try one of the other holes. So now that I've got this one in, same thing, there's the Allen key, and you want to be very, very careful to use your full palm on it so that the torque from the ratchet doesn't twist it and hurt your fingers. So once you've got it tightened, and you can hear it stop because it's reached its torque limit, good to go. Now, once you have this clamped in place, you want to take a clamp and put a clamp at the end. And the reason for this is because it can flex out. Excuse me. And if it's flexing out, you're going to run into a problem because your holes aren't going to line up. So get it nice and tight. There you go. So we're ready to start drilling. Oops, I've got this on the wrong side. So tighten it up, make sure everything's nice and lined up. Now that we're ready to start drilling, you'll notice we're only going to drill on the side where the bolts are in place. You want to be very careful because our jig is not perfect. We have to get a new jig, but you can do one side at a time. So you make sure that everything's clamped along there and you're good to go. Now, when you're drilling, you want to make sure that you're wearing safety glasses. If you have long hair, you tie the hair back. You want to make sure you're wearing shoes. And you'll notice there's a lot of aluminum shavings. So having something like a cut-resistant glove is really helpful because these shavings are really sharp. So you want to make sure that you have a space where the shavings can be cleaned up really easily so that you're not going to be hurting yourself later on. With the drill, there's the battery for the drill. When you're putting the drill down, there's a temptation to put the drill like that. Don't. Always put it on its side because it's not going to fall over as easily. There is a button here. If you push it in on the right side, the drill will go forward. If you push it in on the other side, the drill goes backwards. So we're drilling forward. The dial is set to drilling and we've got it at level 2. You want to be careful if you can clamp this down, that's ideal because you want to make sure that this is not going to pivot on you. The key thing is you're going to line your drill up. You're going to make sure it's a perfect 90 angle and it's nice and straight. And what you're going to do is you're going to turn it on. You're going to start a little bit slow to make sure that it's biting in. And you're going to push a little bit, release a little bit, push a little bit, and the goal is for the chips to be able to come out of our hole. And you heard when I broke through, and then I just brought it up. So that's how we drill the holes. We work our way all the way through. When we're ready to do this hole, put a clamp in on the other side, then remove this clamp. So that way nothing shifts and everything's lined up perfectly. That's been how to do the safety. Always make sure you got an adult with you. Have a good day.